Benjamin Franklin was born on January 17, 1706, in Boston, Massachusetts. His father, Josiah Franklin, was a soap and candle maker, and his mother, Abia Folger, was Josiah's second wife. Benjamin was the 15th of 17 children in the large Franklin family. Growing up in a bustling household, he learned the values of hard work and perseverance from an early age. Franklin began his formal education at the age of 8 when he attended the Boston Latin School. However, his schooling lasted only 2 years due to the family's financial difficulties. Despite his limited formal education, Franklin had an insatiable appetite for learning and continued his education through extensive reading. He read every book he could get his hands on, which helped him acquire a broad knowledge in various fields. At the age of 10, Franklin had to leave school and work in his father's soap and candle shop. However, he found the work uninteresting and sought other opportunities. Recognizing his son's curiosity and passion for learning, Josiah decided to send Benjamin to work with his older brother James, who was a printer. At 12 years old, Franklin began his apprenticeship in his brother James' printing shop. This period was crucial in his life, as he learned a great deal about the printing trade and acquired new skills in writing and editing. Benjamin began writing articles for his brother's newspaper, the New England Courant, under the pseudonym Silence Doggett. These articles gained widespread popularity among readers due to their humorous and insightful style. Despite his professional success at his brother's print shop, Franklin's relationship with James was strained. James was strict and often harsh in his treatment of Benjamin, leading to frequent conflicts between them. In 1723, at the age of 17, Franklin decided to run away from Boston to seek new opportunities in Philadelphia. After running away from his brother in Boston at the age of 17, Benjamin Franklin headed to Philadelphia, a city that would become the stage for many of his achievements. He arrived in Philadelphia in October 1723 after a challenging journey, starting his new life with no money or resources to speak of. Nevertheless, he quickly found work at the print shop of Samuel Keimer, a local printer, where he began to build his reputation as a diligent and talented worker. Franklin was a young man full of ambition, always striving to improve himself and develop his skills. In 1724, he was persuaded to travel to London by Pennsylvania Governor Sir William Keith, who promised to support him in purchasing the equipment needed to start his own printing business. However, upon arriving in London, Franklin discovered that Keith had not provided the promised financial support, forcing him to find work there to survive. In London, Franklin worked for Samuel Palmer's printing house on Bartholomew Close, where he gained valuable experience in printing and publishing. He also worked for a time at John Watt's printing shop, further enhancing his skills and knowledge in the field. Life in London was challenging for Franklin at first, as he faced financial difficulties and had to work hard to cover his expenses. In addition to his printing work, Franklin took advantage of his time in London to expand his knowledge through reading and attending lectures and seminars. He enjoyed immersing himself in the cultural and intellectual life of London, where he met many educated individuals and learned through discussions and debates with them. During his time in London, Franklin wrote several articles and publications that reflected his diverse interests and passion for learning. He also acquired new skills in business management and economics, which later helped him in his business ventures in Philadelphia. Although Franklin enjoyed his life in London, he began to feel the need to return to Philadelphia to pursue his business projects there. In 1726, after spending about 18 months in London, he decided to return to Philadelphia to establish his own career. After his return to Philadelphia in 1726, Franklin held varied jobs including bookkeeper, shopkeeper and currency cutter. In 1728 he returned to a familiar trade, printing paper currency, in New Jersey before partnering with a friend to open his own print shop in Philadelphia that published government pamphlets and books. In 1730 Franklin was named the official printer of Pennsylvania. By that time, he had formed the Junto, a social and self-improvement study group for young men that met every Friday to debate morality, philosophy and politics. When junto members sought to expand their reading choices, Franklin helped to incorporate America's first subscription library, the Library Company of Philadelphia, in 1731. In 1729, Franklin published another pamphlet, a modest inquiry into the nature and necessity of a paper currency, which advocated for an increase in the money supply to stimulate the economy. With the cash Franklin earned from his money-related treatise, he was able to purchase the Pennsylvania Gazette newspaper from a former boss. Under his ownership, the struggling newspaper was transformed into the most widely read paper in the colonies and became one of the first to turn a profit. He had less luck in 1732 when he launched the first German-language newspaper in the colonies, the short-lived Philadelphische Zeitung. Nonetheless, Franklin's prominence and success grew during the 1730s. Franklin amassed real estate and businesses and organized the Volunteer Union Fire Company to counteract dangerous fire hazards in Philadelphia. He joined the Freemasons in 1731 and was eventually elected Grand Master of the Masons of Pennsylvania. Benjamin Franklin's marital life was complex and unconventional. In 1730, he entered into a common-law marriage with Deborah Reed. Their relationship was unique and reflected the practical and pragmatic sides of Franklin's character. Franklin had first met Deborah Reed in 1723 when he arrived in Philadelphia. At that time, she was the daughter of his landlady. Franklin had shown interest in her, but their courtship was interrupted when he traveled to London. During his absence, Deborah married John Rogers, a union that soon turned problematic. Rogers proved to be an unreliable and irresponsible husband, eventually abandoning Deborah and fleeing to the West Indies. When Franklin returned to Philadelphia in 1726, Deborah was unable to remarry legally due to the uncertain status of her first husband. Despite this, Franklin and Deborah began living together in a common-law marriage in 1730. The union produced two children, Francis Folger Franklin, born in 1732, and Sarah Franklin, known as Sally, born in 1743. Unfortunately, Francis died of smallpox at the age of 4, a loss that deeply affected both parents. Deborah was a steadfast partner to Franklin, managing their household and businesses while he pursued his many interests and responsibilities. She helped run their print shop and the general store they operated, contributing significantly to the family's financial stability. Despite her lack of formal education, Deborah was resourceful and capable, ensuring the family's well-being during Franklin's frequent absences. Franklin's relationship with Deborah was marked by long separations, particularly during his extended stays in London and later in Paris, where he served as a diplomat. Despite his absence, the couple maintained a correspondence that showed mutual respect and concern, although Franklin's letters sometimes revealed his frustration with Deborah's reluctance to join him abroad. Deborah had a fear of sea travel, which kept her from accompanying him. During Franklin's extended periods away from home, he developed relationships with other women. His flirtations and possible romantic involvements, particularly with women in France, were known but never officially documented in detail. In addition to his common-law marriage with Deborah, Franklin had an illegitimate son, William Franklin, born around 1730. The identity of William's mother remains unknown. Franklin raised William as part of his family, and William went on to become the last colonial governor of New Jersey. Benjamin Franklin's creation of Paul Richard's Almanac was a significant milestone in his career as a publisher and author. He first issued the Almanac in 1732 under the pseudonym Richard Saunders. His goal was to provide practical advice and wisdom that people could use in their daily lives. Paul Richard's Almanac was more than just a traditional calendar with dates and days of the week. It contained a variety of information related to weather, agriculture, astronomy, home remedies, as well as short sayings and proverbs meant to offer guidance on ethics and hard work. The Almanac quickly became popular among the American colonists, offering them valuable information in an entertaining and engaging format. The Almanac was not just a collection of dates and proverbs. It was also an educational tool providing practical advice to help individuals improve their daily lives. It included sayings and proverbs that became famous over the years, such as, "Time is money," and "Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today," which are still widely quoted today. During King George's War, 1744 to 1748, also known as the War of the Austrian Succession in Europe, Benjamin Franklin played a significant role in organizing the defense of the American colonies, despite not participating directly in combat. The war was part of a series of conflicts between Britain and France, with their respective Native American allies, which impacted the North American colonies. In 1747, as threats from French and Native American attacks grew, Franklin called upon the citizens of Philadelphia to form a militia to defend the colony. He wrote a pamphlet titled "Plain Truth," in which he outlined his ideas for organizing local militias and securing the colonies against attacks. This pamphlet had a considerable impact and led to the formation of local militias. Additionally, Franklin was a member of the Pennsylvania Assembly, a group of prominent citizens working to improve both civilian and military defenses. Through his efforts, funds and weapons were raised to equip the local militias in and around Philadelphia. Although Franklin was not a soldier or a military leader, his contributions to organizing civilian defenses and encouraging collective action were of great importance. His efforts helped foster a spirit of cooperation and community involvement in addressing external threats, leading to enhanced security and stability in the colonies. In the 1740s, Franklin expanded into science and entrepreneurship. His 1743 pamphlet, A Proposal for Promoting Useful Knowledge, underscored his interests and served as the founding document of the American Philosophical Society, the first scientific society in the colonies. By 1748, the 42-year-old Franklin had become one of the richest men in Pennsylvania, and he became a soldier in the Pennsylvania militia. He turned his printing business over to a partner to give himself more time to conduct scientific experiments. He moved into a new house in 1748. Benjamin Franklin is renowned for his pioneering experiments and discoveries in the field of electricity. His work laid the groundwork for modern electrical science. Here are some of his notable inventions and contributions. Lightning rod. Franklin's most famous invention related to electricity is the lightning rod. He theorized that lightning is a form of electricity and proposed that a pointed metal rod mounted on the roof of a building could draw lightning and safely direct it to the ground, preventing fires and other damage. The kite experiment. Franklin's kite experiment in 1752 is one of the most well-known events in the history of science. During a thunderstorm, he flew a kite with a metal key attached to the string. When lightning struck the kite, the electrical charge traveled down the string and produced sparks when it reached the key, proving that lightning is a form of electricity. This experiment validated his theory and significantly advanced the understanding of electricity. Electrical terms. Franklin introduced several terms still used in electrical science today, including battery, conductor, charge, and discharge. He was the first to use the terms positive and negative to describe the polarity of electrical charges. His ability to clearly explain complex phenomena helped make the study of electricity more accessible. Franklin's bells. One of Franklin's lesser-known inventions is an early warning system for electrical storms called Franklin's bells. This device consisted of two metal bells connected to a lightning rod. When an electrical storm approached, the bells would ring, indicating the presence of atmospheric electrical charges. This invention was another practical application of his understanding of electricity. Leyden jar improvements. Franklin also improved the design of the Leyden jar, an early form of a capacitor used to store electrical charge. His modifications made the device more efficient and safer to use, facilitating further experiments and practical applications of stored electrical energy. Franklin's experiments with electricity were groundbreaking and earned him international recognition. His practical inventions, like the lightning rod, had immediate benefits for society, reducing the risk of lightning damage. His theoretical contributions laid the foundation for the future study of electricity, making him one of the most influential figures in the history of electrical science. Franklin was a prolific inventor and scientist who was responsible for the following inventions. Franklin's stove. Franklin's first invention, created around 1740, provided more heat with less fuel. Bifocals. Anyone tired of switching between two pairs of glasses understands why Franklin developed bifocals that could be used for both distance and reading. Harmonica. Franklin's inventions took on a musical bent when, in 1761, he commenced development on the harmonica, a musical instrument composed of spinning glass bowls on a shaft. Both Ludwig van Beethoven and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart composed music for the strange instrument. Rocking chair. Flexible catheter. American penny. Franklin also discovered the Gulf Stream after his return trip across the Atlantic Ocean from London in 1775. He began to speculate about why the westbound trip always took longer, and his measurements of ocean temperatures led to his discovery of the existence of the Gulf Stream. This knowledge served to cut 2 weeks off the previous sailing time from Europe to North America. Franklin's self-education earned him honorary degrees from Harvard, Yale, England's University of Oxford and the University of St Andrews in Scotland. In 1749, Franklin wrote a pamphlet concerning the education of youth in Pennsylvania that resulted in the establishment of the Academy of Philadelphia, now the University of Pennsylvania. Franklin became a member of Philadelphia's City Council in 1748 and a Justice of the Peace the following year. In 1751, he was elected a Philadelphia alderman and a representative to the Pennsylvania Assembly, a position to which he was re-elected annually until 1764. 2 years later, he accepted a royal appointment as Deputy Postmaster General of North America. When the French and Indian War began in 1754, Franklin called on the colonies to band together for their common defense, which he dramatized in the Pennsylvania Gazette with a cartoon of a snake cut into sections with the caption, "Join or Die." He represented Pennsylvania at the Albany Congress, which adopted his proposal to create a unified government for the 13 colonies. Franklin's Plan of Union, however, failed to be ratified by the colonies. In 1757, Franklin was appointed by the Pennsylvania Assembly to serve as the colony's agent in England. Franklin sailed to London to negotiate a long-standing dispute with the proprietors of the colony, the Penn family, taking William and his 2 enslaved people but leaving behind Deborah and Sarah. He spent much of the next 2 decades in London, where he was drawn to the high society and intellectual salons of the cosmopolitan city. In the 1750s, the Pennsylvania colony was facing substantial problems with its proprietors, the Penn family, concerning issues related to governance, taxation, and defense. The Penn family held significant authority over the colony but did not pay their fair share of taxes or contribute adequately to its defense. Due to these issues, Franklin was sent to London in 1757 as a representative to advocate for the colony's interests and attempt to resolve the conflict. During his stay in London, Franklin worked diligently to negotiate with the Penn family and the British Parliament. He encountered strong resistance from the Penn family, who were unwilling to relinquish any of their power. Despite his efforts, Franklin was unable to secure a completely satisfactory settlement, but he did succeed in drawing the British Parliament's attention to the colony's problems. In London, Franklin became a well-known and respected figure, engaging in scientific, literary, and social activities. He joined the Royal Society and formed friendships with many prominent British personalities. He also served as a representative for several other colonies in addition to Pennsylvania, which expanded his influence. During Franklin's time in London, the situation in Pennsylvania was changing. The colonists began to feel increased pressure from British taxes and interference in their affairs. In 1764, while Franklin was still in London, a new assembly was elected in Pennsylvania. There was growing opposition to his policies and his association with the Penn family, which ultimately led to his losing his seat in the Pennsylvania Assembly. His loss of the seat was part of a broader shift in colonial politics, as the American colonies began moving toward greater opposition to British rule and the eventual push for independence. Despite this setback, Franklin continued to play a crucial role in politics and international affairs. After Franklin lost his seat in the Pennsylvania Assembly in 1764, he returned to London as the colony's agent. Franklin returned at a tense time in Great Britain's relations with the American colonies. The British Parliament's passage of the Stamp Act in March 1765 imposed a highly unpopular tax on all printed materials for commercial and legal use in the American colonies. Since Franklin purchased stamps for his printing business and nominated a friend as the Pennsylvania stamp distributor, some colonists thought Franklin implicitly supported the new tax, and rioters in Philadelphia even threatened his house. Franklin's passionate denunciation of the tax in testimony before Parliament, however, contributed to the Stamp Act's repeal in 1766. 2 years later he penned a pamphlet, Causes of the American Discontents, before 1768, and he soon became an agent for Massachusetts, Georgia and New Jersey as well. Franklin fanned the flames of revolution by sending the private letters of Massachusetts Governor Thomas Hutchinson to America. The letters called for the restriction of the rights of colonists, which caused a firestorm after their publication by Boston newspapers. In the wake of the scandal, Franklin was removed as Deputy Postmaster General, and he returned to North America in 1775 as a devotee of the Patriot cause. In 1775, Franklin was elected to the Second Continental Congress and appointed the first Postmaster General for the colonies. In 1776, he was appointed Commissioner to Canada and was one of 5 men to draft the Declaration of Independence. Following the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the Continental Congress sent Franklin to France on a vital diplomatic mission. His primary objective was to secure French military and financial support for the American Revolution. Franklin arrived in France in December 1776 and quickly became a beloved and influential figure at the French court. With his charm, wit, and social connections, he managed to win the favor of many prominent figures in French society. In 1778, Franklin signed the Treaty of Alliance and the Treaty of Amity and Commerce with France, making France the first country to officially recognize the independence of the United States and provide essential military and financial support for the American cause. This alliance had a significant impact on the course of the Revolutionary War, as the French provided troops, supplies, and a navy that were crucial to the American victory. Franklin remained in France until the end of the war, participating in the negotiations for the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which officially ended the war and recognized the independence of the United States. His role in these negotiations was pivotal, as he managed to secure favorable terms for the new nation. After returning to the United States in 1785, Franklin continued his public service. He was elected president of the Supreme Executive Council of Pennsylvania, a position he held until 1788. He also took part in the Constitutional Convention in 1787, where he contributed to the drafting of the United States Constitution. Despite his advanced age and declining health, Franklin played a significant role in the convention's debates and sought to achieve consensus among the differing views. The oldest delegate at the age of 81, Franklin initially supported proportional representation in Congress, but he fashioned the Great Compromise that resulted in proportional representation in the House of Representatives and equal representation by state in the Senate. In 1787, he helped found the Society for Political Inquiries, dedicated to improving knowledge of government. Franklin was never elected President of the United States. However, he played an important role as one of 8 founding fathers, helping draft the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. He also served several roles in the government. He was elected to the Pennsylvania Assembly and appointed as the first Postmaster General for the colonies as well as diplomat to France. He was a true polymath and entrepreneur, which is no doubt why he is often called the first American. Benjamin Franklin passed away on April 17, 1790, at the age of 84 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His health had been declining for several years, and he suffered from ailments such as gout and kidney stones. Despite his physical ailments, Franklin remained intellectually active and engaged in public life until his final days. Franklin's death marked the end of a life filled with remarkable achievements and contributions to the fields of science, politics, diplomacy, and literature. His passing was widely mourned in both America and Europe. In recognition of his significant impact, over 20,000 people attended his funeral in Philadelphia. He was laid to rest in Christ Church Burial Ground in Philadelphia, where his grave remains a site of historical importance and public interest. Franklin's legacy continued to grow posthumously. His autobiography, numerous scientific discoveries, and prolific writings have cemented his place as one of the most influential figures in American history. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring content. Thank you for watching.